One of the biggest mistakes that I see new business people, new entrepreneurs make is when they start off in business, they go out and they rent really expensive business space, whether it's an office or a retail space. They go out and they get themselves into these big old contracts, expensive premises, and then they can't afford to pay for it because the sales that they thought they were going to have don't materialize, and then they're in trouble. And it doesn't stop there. Lots of times what they have to do is they have to close those doors, and then they have to go out and do some freelance work or get a job so they can pay for that space because they've put themselves into a contract and they're obligated to finish paying for it. Not a good deal. Not a good place to start. Not a good place to put yourself. So today I'm going to give you 3 simple tips that are going to make sure that you don't fall into that trap, and stick around to the end because I'm going to give you a bonus tip that's going to make sure that those 3 tips that I give you work very, very well indeed. So get your pens, your papers, your tablets, whatever you need ready because I've got a lot of information for you. So let's get right into it. So number 1, start from home. That's where the concept came to you. That's where it all began. That's where you sat there thinking over these things, mulling over these things. Stay at home as long as you can. I've told you my story already. I started off at my kitchen table. And when that wasn't feasible anymore, there was only 2 of us in the flat when we first got here. I don't know where these little people came from. But I had a little red table and a fold-out chair. And anywhere I'd fold out my table, anywhere I'd fold out my chair, I was in business. All I needed was a telephone or a laptop if I was doing the coaching. So I started off at home and kept my expenses down. So think about what you can do. Look around your house. Go into each room with a creative mindset. So go into the room, stand up and look around. You may not be able to use the whole room. Is there a space in that room that you can turn into an office space? Is there a cupboard? Is there an alcove? Is there a place you can put a table just to get started? I've got a client of mine. They set up in their hallway. They've got a big enough hallway. And it's got a nice little bend in there. And right where that corner is, they've set themselves up. The family can still get past them and they can still get their work done. So look around and see where you can work from home. If there's not a room in the house that you can take over or take part of, what about the attic? What about the basement? Have you got one of those? Look around, be creative as possible. But I'm telling you, don't go and get yourself into huge debt before you've even started in business. Okay, I've talked about parts of the house. What about before I go outside, I'm going to go back to the kitchen. I know a lot of people who have started off cooking, catering businesses in their own kitchen. Yes, you've got to do health and safety. You've got to have your kitchen passed and inspected. But I was shocked. I'm shocked. In London, this is. I don't know for the rest of England, but in London, the regulations for selling food from your home premises, for instance, if you've got a cyber kitchen, a dark kitchen, whatever you want to call it, I'm amazed at the regulations. They're pretty relaxed. You've got a lot that you can do from your home. So I've talked about being inside the house. What about outside the house? What can you do in your garden? What about a garden office? I was thinking about a garden office, but I opted for a shed. No, I didn't go work in the shed. I was going to put a garden office outside, but I put a shed outside and I took a load of the stuff that's in the house that we normally store in the house, all the boxes that we have with our Christmas decorations, and we got quite a lot of them, and our Halloween decorations when we decorate the house. They're all outside. And loads of other things are stored outside, and it gives us more space in here. So what can you do in the garden? I want to tell you something that I did in the garden, and it was by chance. We're campers, so we go camping. We've got a big old tent. Can't put that up in the garden, but we decided to get a small tent for the kids to have some fun in the garden during the summertime. So we put up the tent, completely waterproof, and we put the TV out there. We put the games console out there. They'd be out there for hours, all day, all night. And then one day I was out in the garden looking at the tent. Kids are inside, and I'm thinking, Now, I like to go out in the garden, sometimes under the gazebo or just under the sunlight. I love the sun. So I like being out in the garden in summertime, doing a bit of work. Get my laptop out there, I'm fine. But I was looking at the tent and I thought, I could do something here. They were noisy inside. So I've gone in the tent and I've stayed in the tent into the evening. We're campers. So if it got chilly, I can get the heater. I can get the lights in there. I could do what I like. Think about it. That tent cost me £50. It was originally £100. I got it in the sale. It's an Ozark tent from Asda. Look at me. Don't worry, there's no link underneath. But I'm just telling you how simple it was. It was a nice tent. You can stand up in there. It's a lot of space. And it may be a space that you can do some work if you've got to be really, really creative. So we dealt with inside the house. Number 2 is outside of the home. What can you do outside of the home? Firstly, if you're going to rent any space, do what I did. Negotiate hard, negotiate a great deal. Think, look at your business plan. If you haven't got a business plan, then that's probably one of the reasons why you're going to make such a mistake. A lot of people, they say they've got a business plan, but they didn't consult the business plan to look at their cash flow forecast and all the other things that they should be looking at before they made that decision to go and rent the premises. So take a look at your plan, think about what's best for you, drive a good bargain. There are some brilliant workspaces out there that you don't have to rent on a full-time basis. You can just go and rent a desk and they're very affordable. And if you do have to rent a space, do it on a part-time basis. I do my business consultations and I do it in the business lounge in our local library, purpose-built section, but I don't rent the entire place all the time. I just rent it as and when I need it. So think about any spaces, be creative and look at a space and think about, can I rent it? And when you rent it, just add half an hour on either side of your rental time and give yourself enough time to go in there and make it your space. I know people who do that, and when they go into the space, they make it their own, but they have a deal with whoever owns the space so that they can keep their equipment there. I know quite a few people in the library, they leave their equipment there. They don't go backwards and forwards, lugging it backwards and forwards. So there's a lot of options. If you're going to rent a space, you can share the space with another business person. You can split the cost. If it's retail, if it's an office, warehouse, as long as what you're doing as a business doesn't clash with the other person, you never know, it might even complement each other. And you can save yourself money. I've seen loads of people do it. The craziest one I've seen was years ago in the London borough of Haringey, 2 radio stations, WNK Radio and London Greek Radio, LGR. They won a license, the same license for the same frequency. So they couldn't agree on how they were going to split the time. So you know what they've done? They start broadcasting 4 hours at a time. So one would start at 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock. The other would come on from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock. The other one would come on from 8 till 12. It was interesting listening. 1 minute it was R&B, then it was Greek music and backwards and forwards. They carried on like that for a long time. In the end, WNK went out of business and London Greek Radio took over the entire airwaves. But they proved that it could be done just to get started. What about a coffee shop? What about a cafe? For a price of a cup of coffee, you've got a lovely open plan office. And if you choose the right cafe, if you choose the right coffee shop, brilliant place to work, a brilliant place to hold meetings. And I'm going to tell you some of the places that I've had meetings and held functions at no cost to myself. The Business Library in St Pancras, a beautiful building. And if you're getting into business and you need to learn about intellectual property, that's the place to be. The Business Library in St Pancras, London, a beautiful place to have a coffee, have a meeting. And they've also got rooms that they rent out if you want to do presentations. Hotel lobbies. A lot of hotels that I've used, they actually encourage people to come in and hold their meetings. You could even do a little presentation there. They encourage it because they know people are going to buy their beverages. So they like that. A beautiful hotel is the Landmark Hotel in Marylebone. If you want to have a really nice place to have a meeting, go and check it out. In Stratford, another place I used to go to a lot, Marks and Spencer's, the cafe at the top floor in Marks and Spencer's, not the lower cafe, which is on the walkthrough. Top floor, Marks and Spencer's, beautiful cafe, nice and quiet. I've done so many meetings, so many presentations up there. And you know the good thing? In all these places, you always bump into other entrepreneurs. And one more place I didn't see coming was my neighbors. I was feeding the neighbor's cat when they were away on holiday. And while I was in there, I kept thinking, hold on a minute, it's quiet here. And my house is very noisy, holiday time. My children are in there making music. And the music I talk about with my kids is when they are running through the house, screaming, shouting at the top of their voice. I love it. I call it my music. But I couldn't work with it sometimes. It doesn't work. So I've messaged my neighbor and I said, look, do you mind if I go over to yours and work from there? They said, no problem. I've got a course called Start and Complete Your Business Plan. If you are getting into business, you need to plan for your business. You need to take that course. I'm not here to plug it right now. Just get on the link and all the information's there and you can decide for yourself if it's for you. But that course, the entire course was recorded at my neighbor's home. So number one was working from home. Number two was working from outside, but being clever about it. And number three is plan. Plan what you are going to do. I've just talked about my business plan. If you haven't got a business plan, you need a business plan. I'm not here to sell you on mine, but you need to have a business plan. A lot of people say to me, oh, I already got a business plan, but I just need to know what to do next. With all due respect, if you've got a business plan and you don't know what to do next, there is a problem there. Let me tell you why. If somebody wants to go from A to B, and this is a location, so if they want to travel from A to B and they've got a sat nav and they've got a map and the sat nav clearly shows where the destination is, and they say, I want to get from A to B, I've got a sat nav or I've got a map, but I don't know what to do next. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, hold your thought. If somebody's got a business plan and in business they want to get from A to B, but they've got a business plan which should show them how to do it, and they say, I want to get from A to B, I've got a business plan, but I don't know what to do next. What's your thoughts on that? The same thoughts that you have for the person with the sat nav should be the same thoughts you have for the person with a business plan. It's really simple. You need to plan. Those are 3 simple tips. I say they're simple, but without this bonus tip that I'm going to give you, they are very hard to do. And the bonus tip is take the emotion out of your decision. Take the emotion out of your decision. The reason why people make these decisions, these bad decisions at the beginning of their business, is because they are being led emotionally. A while ago, I had a conversation with somebody who was looking for a new flat. They were freelancing, working from home, doing telesales. And I said to them, look, here's some flats over here that are well within your budget. But they were so emotional about a flat they had seen that they said that the flat, the view, it was going to inspire them to do the work. And I said, well, this is out of your budget. And they said to me, but they know it's out of their budget, but that is going to push them. And this inspiration is going to push them to make the calls. Now, I don't buy that. I don't need a flat to inspire me to make telephone calls. If I need to make telephone calls, I can be in a cupboard with no light on. As long as the phone screen comes on, or if it's a landline, as long as you give me a flashlight, a torch that I can see the buttons, I will make the calls. Look, you can be pulled by your dreams, or you could be pushed by your circumstances. I've done both of them. Being pulled by your dreams is absolutely exciting. Being pushed by your circumstances is horrible. Why would you start out in business being pushed by your circumstances? And you know the problem? All of these bad decisions are being made emotionally. That's why my bonus tip is take the emotion out of this, because when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. I don't care what emotion it is. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And way too many people as human beings, this is what we do a lot of the time. We make a emotional decision and then we back it up by facts. And when you make those kinds of emotional decisions, i.e., I'm going to rent out this very expensive business premises, then you will make an emotional decision and you will convince yourself that there is no other way. You will say, I've got to have it. And if I don't have it, my business just won't work. And when you start a business like that, it's like being on a roller coaster. It starts going up, 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 up. And then you go over the top and then the ride starts. Ups and downs, the twists and the turns. And it can be really exhilarating, really scary sometimes. But when you make those bad decisions, just like the roller coaster, all of a sudden it comes to an abrupt halt and all the fun's over. So those are my tips. Don't make that mistake. Now, if you're thinking of getting into business for yourself, then I want to give you something that's going to really help you. My 20-question business risk assessment. It's free. It's downloadable. Just click on the link underneath. It might be up on the screen as well. Copy that link, type it into your browser, or click on the link and get my 20-question business risk assessment. When you answer those questions, you'll be glad you did, because it will put you in a position where you understand what you have to do next. And do get yourself a good business plan. If you found value in today's video, please like, please comment, please subscribe, and please share. In the meantime, all I'm going to ask you to do is keep on being amazing, because you are. And I'll see you in the next video.